Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we're rolling along here. We got Friday NBA best bets in this episode for you guys. Also got another episode up with Playa Props, so make sure you are subscribed to that page. Continue to follow along with us all NBA season. A little bit better yesterday on the props than the best bets, I will say that, but we're going to look to pick it back up here with these best bets on a 3-game slate. Quick reminder, if you do not yet have a BetMGM sportsbook account, definitely want to sign up using the code THELINESYT50. That'll get you up to $1,500 in bonus bets as if your first bet loses, as well as just a $50 bonus bet for signing up with the code. So definitely make sure you use that. If you don't yet have an account, one of the biggest sports books in the country, available in most states at this point. So definitely want to make sure you check that out. Nate, let's go ahead and jump right into your first best bet here for Friday.
Yeah, a lot of people got the the Vegas flu over that little break. Yeah. I don't know if they were actually they weren't actually out in Vegas, but a lot of surprising scratches after that long break last night. Pretty strange schedule, but I mean, I will take the Bucks here as they come back from Vegas, +9 in Cleveland. And look, it's a little bit of a letdown spot, perhaps. I'm not that high on the Bucks, but this is too many points for me. This is priced as if it's a road back to back or something. And I mean, they had 2 days off to recalibrate after beating OKC. I'm not gonna lean on this Bucks defense as if there's some amazing unit. And I think OKC just missed a ton of wide open shots, and Cleveland won't miss that many. But I just think that this team has figured something out, and they can hang around here. I mean, they can keep pace with the Cavs potentially because Giannis is on one. That's the most important thing. And even Evan Mobley might be the best individual matchup for him in the league. But it still doesn't matter. Last time against the Bucks, 34-16-9 on a 139 rating. They kept it very close, lost by 1. That was when they were broken early in the season, right? Game 6 of the season. Now they're pretty hot. I mean, a lot of tomato cans in the schedule, but 1-11 of 13, covered 3 straight as dogs. The only real lapse was a look ahead spot to Boston. There came the accent right there. When they lost at Atlanta, looking ahead at the big matchup against Boston. Tomorrow's a back-to-back against Washington, so it's basically a non-game. So you expect the Bucks to have their full effort here to really treat this as another litmus test. We just saw them really step up in the cup there and stepped up the last time they went to Boston, covered that big number. So I mean, the Cavs have had their cake here in this matchup, but they've all been pretty close. And the Bucks have actually been favored in the last 3. And there is something to say for when if the players pay attention to the spread, to be like, oh, well, we're 10-point dogs now, and kind of a galvanizing effect. I mean, they hung close with Dame staying hot without Giannis in the last matchup, and Dame in that first matchup in Game 6 that I mentioned was absolutely fuego, 10 for 15 from 3. As much as he struggles to defend these guards, Garland and Mitchell aren't guarding him. So there should be enough advantages for the Bucks to press to keep pace here, even if this is more of a high scoring game than the last time we saw them out in that brick fest out in Vegas.
Yeah. Let's not really put too much stock into what happens on a neutral court. That's my biggest piece of feedback in case anybody's listening for anything to improve the tourney is I think we need to have the home court advantage in the elimination round still before we just bring this thing to Vegas. It's not established enough. And the Vegas thing is weird. It's so weird. So, I mean, the Bucks, I'm not going to say that they were the complete beneficiary. Everybody played on the same neutral court. That should not matter at all. They just stepped up at the right time. I do believe in, sort of, let's say what they've shown so far is 100% of their capability. I think at the for the most part, they'll probably play at about an 85%, let's say efficiency, being as good as they were in this sort of 4-run stretch. Some bad teams in there riding high momentum against OKC that probably brought them a bit, but they're not 9 points worse than Cleveland right now. So it's really all it comes down to. But let me go to this other game and just a quick little disclaimer as well. We have 3 games on a slate after 13. We've got 12 on Saturday. You do not have to blow your entire bankroll on a 3-game slate with a lot of injuries and weird murky news. So just keep that in mind. We don't know for sure that JoJo is playing, but it looks like he is. Either way, that's super relevant when we're talking about the 76ers. So take that with a grain of salt. Keep an eye on these injuries as you're making your bets throughout the day. Sometimes it helps to wait just a minute. But right now, I think you can still get a great deal on Kelly Oubre boards. And I'm going to combine that with the money line for Philly against this Charlotte squad and get minus 112 on DraftKings there for that. So really, I mean, I've been eyeing Oubre rebounds, and look, there's 3 games, and we have 4 bets to bring you in best bets. So one of them here is going to be an SGP. We got to at least touch on all of them, but the Charlotte thing here is going to be obviously them coming on a back-to-back and a few tired legs. I'm not really sure what to do with their rotation. LaMelo was on a minutes restriction, then Miles Bridges was off, then Brandon Miller was out. Now Mark Williams is back, and Nick Richards is. It's like everywhere with this team, right? And which makes sense. So rather than worry about that too much, I think what I can get is a good value on them to lose, because I still think Philly without Embiid, with Embiid, doesn't matter. Almost prefer he doesn't play so that this money line hits and Kelly gets his boards. I think he'll probably go for a little bit out there against Charlotte. It's such an easy matchup. You can get him back out there for like 20, 22 minutes and feel like you're getting him some burn without really having too tough a competition against him as he bullies Mark Williams and Nick Richards and even Musa Diabate when he gets out there down low. Don't know if we'll see much of him, but that's really it. I don't need to go too much into how much better Philly is than Charlotte. I hope. I'm assuming we all know that, and the wonkiness with Charlotte makes me stay away from them. For Oubre's boards, he is better. I'm not going to say he's a better rebounder with Embiid on the floor. I will say he's more likely to get certain boards that come that fall when Embiid is out there, because of Embiid's honestly not even really doing much in the rebounding column. He's had one good game this season, and it's not something that it's not exactly his forte, which is a big reason we talk about him as one of those prototype centers that if he's busy boxing everybody out, then there's other guys that can come in, like when Caleb Martin was out there. He's not there now, but you got Kelly Oubre stepping in, especially since Caleb Martin went down, to come in and be that really, really good wing rebounder for him, where he's gotten double digits in like 3 of the last 5. He's been their leading rebounder twice as well. That's without JoJo now. And with JoJo, though, he's still at 2.2 rebounds per game in the 6 games that he's played with Joel. Actually better in terms of his hit rate with Joel on the floor there. Over in 5 of those 6 games that he's played with him, if you take the 5, he's hit exactly 5 3 times. So I like the trimming it down from 5.5 to the alt line of 5+ and adding it to the money line for that reason. And then you look at him on the floor with Embiid as well. It's actually still very good. He's at about 10 boards per 36 minutes when he plays with Joel Embiid out there. Now, he's not going to be playing 36 minutes at the same time as Joel. I get that, but that's just an indication that he's still very, very capable of getting those boards with Joel out there, even though his uptick comes when he's off the floor. So I think that's why right now it's one of my favorite bets to take without needing to wait for the Joel news, just knowing that he's going to be a better rebounder than the guy that he's probably going up against.
Yeah, he's probably safe even if Embiid doesn't go, or if Embiid's kind of hobbling around on one leg. Who knows how much wind Joel is going to have if he's out there. I mean, that's why I think you target other guys rebounding, like you said, like he's just kind of glued to the floor when we've seen him in many of these games here, the 6 he's played. So I like it, taking athletes on either side of the ball to just come in and swoop in and grab these boards in what should be a pretty ugly, low-scoring game here. I mean, 2 of the 5 worst-rated offenses in the league. But I will take the over in Miami, and I know this is ballsy. I mean, I'm just trying to fade myself almost, to be like, oh, I think this would be an under type game, and I think most people lean that way. And it's just like, no, let's just zag. I mean, because OKC, they can play whatever style you want, and right now the Heat have been playing up in pace and lights out offensively, and Jimmy Butler just kind of out there having fun, with the trade rumors swirling in the air, coming off his best offensive game. I don't really expect another outburst from him, but even like a normal type game and offensive effort, would keep this thing on pace. And then I don't think you're seeing like the total like slap the floor lockdown defense from Jimmy on the other end. Like, this is not the Heat team we've seen in the past. The last 5 home games, 122 points a game, 128 rating. That's only at a 96 pace, but the last few games have been up around 100 pace. When they play the West this season, they've been scoring 117, and they've gone over this number in 6 of the 7. The exception being at Minnesota on short rest after a high-scoring game in Denver. So very tired legs there in that spot. As the underdog, which they're not tonight, I think they're -1, but that could flip either way. 6-2 to the over, and on extra rest, 2-0 to the over by quite a healthy margin. I mean, when it comes down to OKC, though, it's just like, can you hit the corner 3, right? Can you hit threes to capitalize on this sagging defense. And they have recently 40% on catch and shoot threes in this 5 game stretch. That's why the points are so up. 42% on deep threes. That's a lot of Tyler Hero pull ups, which, as tough of a matchup as it seems on the surface for him, like he's a guy who just, I mean, he's really having a career season. And I think he can find ways to get the ball in the bucket. They did shoot 42% from three when they hosted OKC last January, and that was a 128-120 game. That was with Hero just going 7 for 21. And like I said, he's playing much better this year. So I'm not worried about the OKC offense for sure. I guess what you're worried about is OKC just putting the clamps on it. But I think Miami's playing well enough to force them to not be the same thing we saw last night with Orlando scoring 99. It's like Orlando has nothing on offense. So, like, of course, that was a rock fight. And OKC on the other side, if it gets high scoring, like, they are going to be fired. They're fired up after their embarrassing performance in Vegas, basically, to be like, look, we're still here. So that, yeah, I think they can definitely keep pace and turn this into a higher scoring affair if Miami continues their hot shooting.
Yeah, all makes sense. Miami, second best offensive rating in the last 5, 10th best offensive rating on the season now and in the last 10. So they're on the uptick for sure. I don't know how Jimmy plays into that or doesn't. I'm tired of trying to figure it out. Like, I'm not going to look at how they got to this point. I'm just going to say, oh, they're here. Okay, cool. And it's a big part of that is the threes, what you're saying. And that's a big reason for the Bucks beating the Thunder, right? Guys like Torrey Prince, AJ Green hitting their shots. Obviously, Brook Lopez came huge in that game. And I expect somewhat of a similar performance from Bam in this one, which I'll talk about more in player props. I think he's going to be all over the place tonight against OKC. Love the image of Jimmy Butler actually slapping the floor to play defense when he's mostly standing in the corner. I would agree that I don't think he's going to be slapping the floor to show his defensive intensity tonight. I completely agree with that. And if both these teams, it's like a little bit of a Spider-Man meme on defense, right? And so I'll just use that to segue into my pick because I'm taking 2 corner threes, spot up, catch and shoot, whatever you want to call them. Kason Wallace, 2+ threes. If you take that by itself, you can get plus money. But if you add Duncan Robinson 2+ threes, then you get that at plus 300 on DraftKings there. And on FanDuel, it's like plus 295. So it's basically the same in those two. I'm going to be pretty similar. Obviously, shop these parlays and make sure you're not getting gypped on the price. But either way, this is just a little dart throw, basically, at a game that I don't really know exactly how it's going to go, but I know where these two teams are weakest. And that is in the corners, and that is off of spot-up stuff. We just smashed AJ Green props. We just smashed Torian Prince props. We got plus money for those threes because it's corner 3 guys. And granted, the volume wasn't massive for either of them, but they did hit close to 40% of their shots that were very, very open. And so I'm going right back to those types of guys. If you look at Kason Wallace, part of the reason for him, like right now, his core prop for the threes is half a three. Over that is like minus 200, 230. Nothing that I really want to mess with. But I think the minutes are going to be a little bit greater for him in this one. We've seen him be that guy that sort of steps up as the key defender. I think in the playoffs, you'll see it. Now, look, Daigneault does what Daigneault does. I can't predict his exact starting lineups, but I know Kason Wallace is going to continue to be out there. Like he didn't start weirdly against the Bucks for whatever reason. Daigneault said it was because he wanted Kason Wallace to come off the bench and guard Middleton, but we knew Middleton wasn't playing for a while, so I don't know what he's doing, but I at least appreciate that he still played Kason the necessary minutes that I would need to feel comfortable with him doing this tonight. And I do think we're going to start to see a little bit more Aaron Wiggins, Kason Wallace, and backups coming in and playing rather than playing J-Dub and SGA another 35, 36 minutes like they have in the last 5 games because they've been trying to win the cup. And then they had to beat Orlando, and Orlando kept it closer even after Jalen Suggs went down. So I would still be leaning Heat in this one. That was not a great performance from the Thunder last night. They did everything they could to make sure they won. And now we're talking about 3 and 4 nights. So Kason's a guy that I think is going to be in there for 25 to 28 minutes tonight, which is a good number for him to get about 4 to 5 threes off. I think those will be pretty open threes in the corner is my point. He's not going to be spending much time above the break. You'll see Alex Caruso and even up to a degree, probably J-Dub or somebody to that effect be a lot more of the primary ball handler and playmaker, finding guys in the corner against this really bad corner. Both these teams are in the bottom 5, limiting corner threes because of the fact that they pressure the ball so high and they force it down to the players that they want in those players' hands. And that's going to be somebody like a Kason Wallace, who if you think he's going to have the usage, then it's good to go. Duncan's going to be playing without Jovic, probably without Larson as well again. So we can at least bank on his minutes as their sort of top catch and shoot guy coming off the bench and potentially starting.
Yeah, definitely a quarter unit play, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
this
yeah. This is
this
a point three. This is to get back a unit. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Trying
it's
to have
definitely a
fun.
dart throw, like you're saying. Kason Wallace, like while it all makes sense schematically in terms of how they're going to attack, like I mean, Kason Wallace is not a lock to play over 20 minutes, even if he starts. Like the Thunder have so many guys to rotate in there that like who knows who's going to get those opportunities. I like the dunk aspect of it, Duncan here because he's out there to only shoot threes. Kason a little more versatile. That's why it's plus money on its own. But yeah, I mean maybe something else to pair it with the way you look at it. But I mean it's all there in terms of like these guys are going to be getting open threes for sure.
That's it. I mean, this is a small poo-poo slate, so we're gonna have a little bit of fun, right? I'm gonna take a couple of little quarter units and throw them on some fun stuff here. And corner threes would be a good one. I like the congruency of two threes, whatever. I love when people come up with these parlays that are like the 3x3x3 parlay. It's like, is that a good one, or did you just like that all three of your props ended on a three or whatever? So anyway, that is all the time we have for you guys in the best bets episode. Definitely want to check out Play Up Props. Feeling really good about those as we continue to cruise in the props column. So continue to follow along by subscribing to that page. And until we see you next, happy betting.